I want to do a quick update on something. Actually, I'm just going to run my old video off of this. This is I was talking about the E3 spark plugs here, and you can see that they have a different type of design on them. Well, they worked out really good. I finally got a ride in that was long enough that I could really judge what they're doing. I did two different things to the bike. Very simple. I got some STP Ultra. Use the Ultra, expensive stuff. Fuel injector cleaner. I got all the parts in for like rebuilding the carb. I got the special, the new jets, and basically improved my Dynajet kit, and a rubber boot for like the diaphragm, and the emulsion tube, and I don't know, there's a bunch of other things. And I was going to rebuild the carb and go over it really good, because there was like one part where if I snapped open the throttle, even when I had everything running really the best I could, when I snapped open the throttle really fast, it would bog. If I rolled it on quick, fine, but if I snapped it open really fast, it would, for a second there'd be this hesitation. Well, with these spark plugs, no hesitation. But I was having other problems, and what I did was I put that, I've used this before. I mentioned it before. I used the STP fuel injector cleaner in the bike, and it totally must have cleaned out the carburetor 100%. I have used that stuff. It's more money. I mean, I know about Seafoam and all this other, and it's whatever, it just worked. I mean, one time I tried it when other things didn't work, and it worked. And I think there's other brands out you can use besides the STP Ultra, because the STP, they sell, Gumout sells, fuel injector cleaners, carburetor cleaners, all these freaking 50 million brands. BG is another good one. This is it right here. STP Ultra. Yeah, it says Ultra on it with the gold label. That's the one. And it's like, I think in Walmart it's like $12 and something, and you got to pay sales tax, so it's almost $14 for this little bottle that's 12 ounces. So it's like more than, it's a good $1 an ounce. That's how expensive this stuff is. And I think it treats like 20 gallons. So I had like a three gallons in my tank at the time. I put like half the bottle in it. So I got like, I figured why not? Because I don't feel like taking the carb apart and doing all this stuff. It fixes it, fine. But I figured if it fixed it, the only way it would only get back to where it was before, which was pretty close to perfect. I was riding it like that for years. The only thing is, if I snapped the throttle open really quick, like fast, like bam, like that, it would bog for a second. If I rolled it on fast, like I rolled it on where it took me maybe a half a second to roll it on, I mean, in other words, for all practical purposes, the bike ran fine, even before I put the E3 spark plugs in it, when the carburetor was clean. But when I put the E3 spark plugs in it, it runs flawless under all conditions. Now, the only disadvantage to these spark plugs is, I think, this. I was showing here my old plugs. It was they were running nice and clean. But I think the only it is a real disadvantage. There's one disadvantage to this E3 spark plugs. You can't adjust the gap, right? You cannot adjust the gap. So the problem is, you see, these is how the old ones are running. The bike actually was set pretty good. It's just the carburetor had some of the things in it. It was kind of dirty. But you can't adjust the gap on the new E3 spark plugs. So as that center electrode wears down, you can see it right here, this center electrode wears down. What's going to happen is the gap is going to get bigger, and then you can't change that. So that's where it's going to lose performance. But it's going to take you at least 12, 15,000 miles before it even wears down. They're going to last, like, if you want to leave them in there 50,000 miles, fine. I think if you change them every 15,000 miles, I don't think you'd have a problem. It would be fine. So they worked. I'm totally sold on the damn things. I mean, it's like I can't believe it. Sometimes stuff like that works. I heard most people, and I think, if your bike is running fine, and you put these spark plugs in it, I don't think you're going to notice any difference, especially if you had like NGK Iridium spark plugs, those are like really, really good ones, and you put these in them, I don't think you're going to notice any difference, because when you're getting like the best stuff, it's almost like when you're getting the best oil. If you're using, like they'll say AMSOIL did this for my car and that car. What maybe I'm not comparing. You gotten like, but top quality stuff in general is great. And like when I used it, like I think there's some other stuff out there besides Ultra STP fuel injector cleaner that'll really clean up the car really good. Seafoam doesn't work anywhere near as good as that stuff, and Seafoam is a lot cheaper. So I mean, I know Gumout makes some other brands, and there's like I remember Chevron had Techron with it in it. That was the one I used to like a lot. It does work very good. I know I have been experimenting with this stuff for a while. I know sometimes you can run injector cleaner in a car, and you'll be having a code for an O2 sensor, and then the code goes away because the stuff is so strong. It actually gets into the the exhaust, and it cleans up the O2 sensor. Or even like it could even clean out your catalytic converter somewhat if you had a code for that. I think it's a 420 code or something. So sometimes these things are great because the part is if it's a bad part, it ain't gonna fix it, right? But a lot of times the part is just dirty. That's why it's not working right. That's why sometimes when you put additives in the car, lifters quiet down because there was something wrong. The lifters got tarnish in them and they weren't pumping up and setting the valve clearances right. I mean, it's not like the part is bad. It got dirty. So this stuff worked, and I just want to point that out because the E3 spark plugs, I think, in almost every situation, they're going to do something good, even if you don't notice it that much. And if you are too like me, I'm not lazy, but I only got so much time to do so many different things. So I was like, am I gonna, take apart? I was planning on taking apart the whole carburetor. And I said I'm going to put all these new parts in it when I do that and clean it all out and fix it. It'll be back to where it was, even better. Well, I put these E3 spark plugs in it, and I put the Ultra STP fuel injector cleaner in it for the cheap, and no problems. So sometimes stuff like this works. It's worth a try.